The tension inside the luxurious living room was thick enough to cut with a knife. The grand fireplace crackled softly in the background, but it did little to warm the ice-cold atmosphere between the Montgomery brothers. They stood face to face, their sharp gazes locked in fury. "You have to leave her for me. I loved her first." William's voice boomed, filled with entitlement. His fists clenched as he stepped closer to his younger brother, his piercing blue eyes daring Henry to challenge him. Henry scoffed, his jaw tightening. "No, I loved her first. Not you. Why do you lie like this?" He shook his head, his voice laced with frustration. "Because you're the eldest, you think you can have everything. Isn't it enough that father has given you almost all of the inheritance, like I'm not even his son? I didn't argue with you about that, but this..." He exhaled sharply. "This is a no-no, Williams." Williams let out a low chuckle, stepping even closer until their faces were just inches apart. "Yes, because I am the eldest. Whatever I want, I get. Bella is mine whether you like it or not. You forget, Henry, I always get what I want." Henry's expression darkened. "But you never liked her, Williams. You only started wanting her because you saw I was interested in her. Why are you so mean? Why are you so wicked?" His voice rose in anger. "I see different girls leave your house daily. Small, fat, black, fair. Just leave Bella for me. I beg you. I truly love her, and I want her." William smirked, crossing his arms. "But she is only a maid, a cook. Why are you acting like she's some princess? Leave her for me? Henry, you have access to all the wealth and beautiful women in the world. Why Bella?" "Yes, a maid, a cook. Then why not leave her for me?" Henry shot back. "Go for your classy girls. I know what you're doing. You don't want my happiness. You want me to remain miserable." Williams chuckled mockingly. "Who cares if you're happy or not? If I want all the women in the world, and I can afford to have them, why not Bella too? Our lover," he added with a teasing grin. "No way." Henry shouted, his voice echoing through the vast room. His hands balled into fists. "You can never have her. Not under my watch. I will surely have her. In fact, I can even propose to her and marry her." Williams laughed, his arrogance unshaken. "Oh, really? Let's bet on it. Who will have Bella?" Henry shook his head in disgust. "I'm not in for your useless bet. But I know for sure that Bella is mine forever. She is my dream lady, and I love her so much." Williams smirked again, tilting his head. "Wow, lover boy. I see. But I'll stick to my bet." The room fell silent, but the war between them had just begun. The Montgomery family was one of the wealthiest in Fort Worth, Texas. Their name carried power, influence, and an air of superiority. Their mansion, a breathtaking estate with towering white pillars and sparkling chandeliers, sat on acres of manicured land. The grand iron gates, plated with gold, gleamed under the blazing Texas sun, standing as a symbol of their immense wealth. Lush gardens stretched beyond the driveway, adorned with marble fountains and trimmed hedges that framed the entrance like a work of art. Inside the estate, everything exuded luxury. Expensive paintings lined the walls, and intricate golden chandeliers hung from high ceilings, casting a warm, opulent glow. The floors were polished marble, smooth enough to reflect the dazzling light above. A team of well-dressed workers moved efficiently through the mansion, ensuring that every inch remained spotless. Among them was Bella, a young woman with delicate features, warm brown eyes, and a quiet strength that set her apart. Bella was more than just a maid. She was the Montgomery's cook, and her skillful hands transformed simple ingredients into mouth-watering dishes. She had worked in the estate for 2 years, keeping her head down and avoiding unnecessary attention. But that became impossible when both Montgomery brothers developed an interest in her. Williams Montgomery The elder son was undeniably handsome. He had a confident swagger, a charming smile that could make any woman swoon, and an air of entitlement that made him dangerously alluring. But behind his polished exterior lay a reckless heart. He was a notorious womanizer, known for his short-lived flings and empty promises. To him, Bella was another challenge, another conquest to add to his long list. Henry Montgomery, on the other hand, was his complete opposite. He was thoughtful, kind, and genuinely interested in Bella as a person. He spoke to her with respect, always listening when she talked about her dreams and ambitions. Unlike his brother, Henry wasn't trying to win her over with wealth or charm. He simply wanted her to know how much he cared. At first, Bella dismissed their attention. It seemed impossible that two wealthy men could truly love someone like her, a maid. But as time passed, she found herself caught between them. Williams knew how to make her heart race with his thrilling words and grand gestures, while Henry made her feel safe and cherished with his unwavering kindness. Both men showered her with flowers and gifts, filling her small bedroom with sweet-smelling roses, luxurious perfumes, and elegant dresses she never dared to wear. The more they pursued her, the more confused she became. Was William's charm genuine, or was she just another name on his list? Was Henry's love strong enough to overcome the vast differences in their status? Every night, she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering who the right man for her was. But her heart wouldn't have the luxury of time. Sooner or later, she would have to choose. Bella hummed a gentle, soothing tune as she carefully arranged a bouquet of fresh flowers in the living room. The morning sunlight streamed through the large windows, casting a warm glow on the elegant furniture and the sparkling chandelier above. The scent of roses and lilies filled the air, making the room feel alive and peaceful. Bella loved this part of her job, making the house feel like a home, even though it wasn't hers. She was lost in her thoughts, her fingers delicately adjusting the petals, when a smooth, velvety voice broke the silence. Just as she placed the last rose, a deep voice broke the stillness. "Good morning, Bella." The voice was smooth like honey, but carried the weight of something dangerous, like a snake slithering through the grass. Bella's fingers froze on the petals as she turned, startled. There stood William Montgomery, the eldest son of the family. He was dressed in a tailored navy suit that hugged his broad shoulders perfectly, his jet black hair neatly styled. His dark eyes held an unreadable expression, but the corner of his lips curled into a knowing smirk. "Oh, good morning, sir," Bella said quickly, taking a small step back. "Come on, Bella. How many times do I have to tell you? Call me William," he said, stepping closer, his voice low and inviting. His cologne, rich and intoxicating, lingered between them. Bella swallowed, unsure of why her heart suddenly picked up speed. "I was wondering," William continued, his gaze lingering on her face. "Would you like to have dinner with me tonight? Just the two of us." Bella's eyes widened slightly. "Sir, William, I'm just a maid. I don't think." "Relax," he interrupted smoothly, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "It's just dinner." He winked, his voice dripping with confidence. "Think about it." Bella opened her mouth to protest, but before she could form a sentence, the sound of hurried footsteps echoed through the hallway. "Bella!" A new voice filled the room, tense and urgent. Bella turned, only to see Henry Montgomery, William's younger brother, standing in the doorway. His usually calm face was clouded with frustration, his brows drawn together in concern. Unlike William's refined elegance, Henry's approach was raw and honest. His dark brown curls were slightly tousled, his shirt sleeves rolled up as if he had rushed over in a hurry. He didn't even glance at his brother. His eyes were fixed on her. "Don't listen to him," Henry said firmly, stepping into the room. "He doesn't mean well." Bella's heart stammered at the intensity in Henry's voice. She glanced between the two brothers, her confusion growing. "What's going on?" William let out a low chuckle, folding his arms across his chest. "Nothing, Bella." He shot Henry a smug glance. "My dear little brother is just being dramatic, as usual." Henry clenched his jaw. "Stay out of this, William." William smirked, clearly amused. "Oh, don't worry. I'll see you tonight, Bella." His voice was smooth as silk, but his eyes flickered with something unreadable before he turned on his heel and walked out of the room. As soon as he was gone, Henry let out a frustrated sigh, running a hand through his hair. "Bella, please." He took a step closer, lowering his voice. "Don't go with him. He's not who he seems to be." Bella's brows furrowed. "Henry, this is—" She hesitated, looking away. "This is confusing. I don't understand." Henry's gaze softened as he reached for her hand, his touch warm and reassuring. "You will," he said quietly. "I promise I'll explain everything. Just trust me." Bella's heart pounded as she looked up at him. She had never seen Henry like this before. So vulnerable, so desperate. "Although I am the younger one, I love you more than he ever could, Bella. I think about you all day and night. You are not just another girl to me." His voice trembled slightly. "My brother doesn't mean well for you. Please, Bella, follow your heart. Think carefully." Bella felt a whirlwind of emotions crashing over her. The weight of their words, the intensity in their eyes. It was overwhelming. Was William truly interested in her, or was he just playing one of his games? And Henry, was his love really as pure as he claimed? For the first time, Bella realized something. She was standing in the middle of a storm, and she had no idea which way to turn. Bella stood in front of the small mirror in her room, adjusting the delicate strands of hair that framed her face. Tonight was special. She had chosen her best dress, a simple yet elegant blue gown that hugged her figure modestly. Her heart raced with excitement and nervousness. Was this really happening? For 2 years, she had worked in the Montgomery estate, staying in the shadows, unnoticed by the wealthy family she served. Now, she was preparing to have dinner with William Montgomery, the older son, the charming flirt, the man every woman wanted but none could keep. As she glanced at herself one last time, she took a deep breath and left her room. Bella arrived at the restaurant early, her fingers anxiously tracing patterns on the linen tablecloth as she waited. The dim golden lights gave the place a romantic glow, and the soft hum of music filled the air. She couldn't believe she was here, on a date with someone as powerful as William. Minutes passed, then 10, then 20. Bella sighed, disappointment creeping in. Had he changed his mind? Just as she was about to give up, a deep, familiar voice interrupted her thoughts. "Bella, my deepest apologies for keeping you waiting." She looked up and saw William standing there, looking effortlessly handsome in a tailored suit. In his hands, he held a bouquet of fresh red roses. "These are for you," he said with a sheepish smile. Bella hesitated for a moment, but the warmth in his gaze melted away her irritation. She reached out and took the flowers, inhaling their sweet scent. "Thank you," she murmured, smiling despite herself. The moment he sat down, all her earlier frustration disappeared. William was different tonight, gentler, more attentive. He listened when she spoke, his gaze never leaving her face. He asked about her dreams, her childhood, her favorite things. He laughed at her jokes, complimented her smile, and even shared stories about his life that no one else knew. For the first time, Bella saw another side of William, a side that was calm, cool, and unexpectedly caring. But something still felt off. Even as he spoke, there were moments when she caught a flicker of something in his eyes, as if he were trying too hard. His words were smooth, his gestures practiced, but Bella couldn't shake the feeling that he was acting. It was as if he was playing a role, trying to be the man she wanted. Yet she enjoyed every moment. By the end of the night, as they stood outside waiting for the driver, William brushed a stray hair from her face and whispered, "I had a wonderful time, Bella. Let's do this again." Her heart skipped a beat. She nodded, unable to find the right words. When Bella arrived back at the Montgomery estate, the night air was cool against her skin. She stepped out of the car, still holding the roses, a soft smile playing on her lips. But as she walked toward the entrance, she noticed a figure standing in the shadows. It was Henry. His arms were crossed over his chest, his expression unreadable, but his eyes told a different story: disappointment. "Welcome back, Bella," he said, his voice quieter than usual. Bella's smile faded. She lowered her gaze, feeling a strange sense of guilt. "How was your dinner?" he asked, though his tone made it clear he already knew the answer. She hesitated before replying, her voice barely above a whisper. "It was nice." Henry's jaw clenched slightly. He didn't say another word, but the tension between them was thick. Bella wanted to explain, to tell him that it was just dinner, that she was still figuring things out. But she didn't. Without another word, she walked past him and entered the house. As soon as Bella opened the door to her small bedroom, she gasped. The room was filled with gifts. Boxes wrapped in golden ribbons, delicate jewelry, perfumes, designer dresses, things she never imagined owning. And on her bed, sitting among the gifts, was a small note written in elegant handwriting. "I love you, William." Bella's heart swelled with emotions she couldn't describe. She sat on the edge of her bed, running her fingers over the beautiful gifts. She smiled. And that night, as she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, she couldn't stop whispering to herself, "William is the right one." From that night on, Bella found herself drawn to William even more. She no longer saw him as just the arrogant billionaire's son. He made her laugh, made her feel special. They spent more time together around the house. And surprisingly, William even helped her with small chores, something she never imagined he would do. He would sneak into the kitchen while she cooked, wrapping his arms around her waist and whispering sweet things in her ear. He would leave little love notes in places she least expected, inside the pantry, on her pillow, even in the pockets of her apron. Bella felt loved. She saw love in William's eyes. And soon, she couldn't deny it anymore. She had fallen for him. But what she didn't know was that love can sometimes be the most dangerous game of all. Bella and William had grown inseparable over the past few weeks. They would stay up late, talking about everything and nothing, their laughter echoing through the grand Montgomery mansion. They wandered through the garden under the moonlight, whispered in the kitchen as she cooked, and sat on the staircase sharing secrets. For the first time in her life, Bella felt wanted. She felt special. William made her believe that she was different from all the other women he had known. He told her he had changed, that his past as a reckless womanizer was over. She believed him. She wanted to believe him. But love can be blinding. 2 days later, Bella made the toughest decision of her life. She knew she had to tell Henry the truth. He deserved to hear it from her. That evening, she found him in the study, sitting quietly with a book in his hands, though his eyes weren't reading the words. He looked up as she entered, his face calm, but his eyes filled with silent hope. Bella took a deep breath. "Henry, I've made up my mind," she said, her voice trembling. He slowly closed the book, his expression unreadable. "I love William," she continued, forcing herself to meet his gaze. "I've chosen him." Silence. Henry swallowed hard, nodding slowly. His face remained calm, but she saw the pain flicker in his eyes. "If that's what makes you happy, Bella, then I wish you the best." His voice was low, steady, but there was a crack in it, a sadness he tried to hide. Bella felt a lump in her throat. She wanted to say more, to explain, but what was the point? Her decision was made. Henry stood up and walked past her. Just before he reached the door, he paused. "I hope he doesn't hurt you, Bella," he said softly. "But if he does, I'll still be here." And with that, he left. Bella exhaled shakily, trying to ignore the tiny voice in her heart that whispered, "Are you sure you made the right choice?" Days passed, and Bella continued to bask in the warmth of William's affection. He showered her with gifts, whispered sweet words, and made her feel like the most important woman in his world. Then, one evening, everything fell apart. She had stepped outside to throw out the trash when she noticed someone by William's car. At first, she thought she was imagining things. But as she took a few steps closer, her breath caught in her throat. There he was, William, the man she had given her heart to, kissing another woman. Bella froze. The woman was laughing, wrapping her arms around his neck, her lips pressed against his, as if Bella never existed. Her entire world collapsed in that moment. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she couldn't move, couldn't breathe. It felt like a knife had been driven through her chest. William had promised her. He had changed. William had lied. She turned and ran inside, her hands shaking, her vision blurred by the tears that streamed down her face. She barely made it to her room before the sobs overtook her. Her body shook as she cried uncontrollably, her heart breaking into a million pieces. Henry heard her cries from down the hall. He hesitated for only a second before rushing to her room. "Bella," he knocked gently. "Are you okay?" The door creaked open, revealing Bella curled up on her bed, her face buried in her hands. Henry stepped inside, his chest tightening at the sight of her in so much pain. He knelt beside her and gently touched her shoulder. "Tell me what happened," he urged softly. Bella lifted her tear-streaked face. Her lips trembled as she spoke. "William lied to me," she choked out. "He promised me he had changed. He told me I was different. But tonight, I saw him kissing another woman." Henry's expression darkened. His hands clenched into fists. He had warned her. He had tried to protect her. But she had chosen William. And now, William had done exactly what Henry knew he would. Without another word, Henry stormed out of the room, his heart pounding with rage. He found William in the lounge, pouring himself a drink, completely unfazed by what he had done. Henry didn't bother hiding his anger. "William, this is unfair," he shouted, his voice filled with fury. "You knew you couldn't stop womanizing, so why did you do this to Bella? You knew I loved her, yet you still went after her. And now you've broken her heart. Was this all just a game to you?" William turned slowly, a smug smirk spreading across his face. He let out a low chuckle before downing his drink. "Oh, Henry, you still don't get it, do you?" He laughed harder, his voice dripping with mockery. Then he leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with amusement. "I never loved Bella," he admitted, his tone cruel. "I only wanted to prove to you that I could have her. It was a bet, Henry, nothing more." Henry's entire body stiffened. "A bet," he whispered, his voice filled with disbelief. William grinned. "Yes, a bet. I wanted to show you that I could take anything I wanted, even the woman you loved. And guess what? She fell for me, just like I knew she would." He shrugged. She was easy to fool. Henry clenched his fists, his blood boiling with rage. "You played with her heart. You toyed with her feelings. She trusted you, and you broke her." William rolled his eyes. "Come on, Henry. Be serious. Did you really think I would ever settle for a maid? A cook? I'm a Montgomery. I only date women who are classy, rich, and beautiful. Bella is none of those things." Henry was about to punch him when they both heard a gasp. They turned. Bella was standing there. She had heard everything. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with shock, fresh tears streaming down her cheeks. She looked at William as if seeing him for the first time, as if realizing the man she had loved was nothing but a cruel, heartless liar. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, without a word, Bella turned and walked away, her heart shattered beyond repair. The night was calm, and the stars shone brightly over the Montgomery estate. The soft glow of garden lanterns illuminated the stone pathway leading to the fountain where Henry sat alone, deep in thought. He had been spending a lot of time there lately, reflecting on everything that had happened. As he ran a hand through his hair, lost in his thoughts, he heard footsteps approaching. He looked up and saw Bella standing a few steps away, her face a mix of hesitation and hope. "Do you have a few minutes?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Henry smiled softly and gestured for her to come closer. "Bella, you know I can never say no to you, no matter what." Encouraged by his kindness, Bella stepped forward, her hands trembling slightly. "Henry, I need to talk to you." She took a deep breath, gathering the courage to say what had been in her heart since the night she overheard William's cruel confession. "I was blind," she admitted, her voice laced with regret. "I let myself get carried away by gifts, flowers, and sweet words. I thought William was the one, but now I see it was all a lie." That night, when I heard what he said, I realized the truth. She looked into Henry's warm, gentle eyes, searching for understanding. "You are a kind man, Henry, a good man. You never tried to deceive me. You never played with my heart. And now I know for sure that you are the one I truly love. I love you, Henry, more than I ever thought possible. And I am so sorry for not seeing it sooner. Please forgive me." Henry's heart pounded as he listened to her words. He had dreamed of this moment, but now that it was happening, he found himself overwhelmed with emotion. Without thinking, he reached for her, pulling her into a tight embrace. "Bella, I love you too. From the very first day I saw you, I knew you were special. It was love at first sight for me. I didn't care that you were a maid. You are more than that. You are strong, kind, and beautiful both inside and out." He gently cupped her face, wiping away the tears that had started falling. "I don't need flowers or gifts to prove my love to you. My heart is yours, Bella. Come into my life, and I promise to love you in ways you never imagined." Tears of happiness filled Bella's eyes as she nodded. "Yes, Henry, I choose you. I choose us." They held each other tightly, their hearts finally at peace. In Henry's arms, Bella felt something she had never felt with William: safety, trust, and a love that was real, not just words and empty gestures. As days passed, Henry and Bella's love only grew stronger. There was no pretense, no mind games, just pure, genuine love. Unlike William, who had always seemed fake and forced, Henry was real. Everything about him was natural. He didn't have to buy her expensive things to prove his love. His kindness, his care, and his unwavering devotion were more precious than any gift. Their relationship blossomed, and soon they began planning their wedding. The Montgomery name carried power and influence, so when the invitations went out, the whole city buzzed with excitement. People were eager to witness the union of a billionaire's son and a humble maid. Some were shocked. How could Henry choose a mere cook? They whispered. But Henry didn't care. He had found his happiness, and that was all that mattered. The big day finally arrived, and it was nothing short of spectacular. The Montgomery mansion had been transformed into a breathtaking venue. White and gold decorations adorned every corner. Fresh roses filled the air with their sweet fragrance, and soft music played in the background. A grand aisle was set up in the garden, lined with white petals. Guests from all over arrived in luxury cars, dressed in their finest attire. It was the wedding of the year. Bella stood in her room, staring at herself in the mirror. Her wedding dress was elegant, a simple yet stunning white gown that flowed around her like a dream. She hardly recognized herself. "Are you ready?" a voice asked. She turned to see Henry standing at the door, looking as handsome as ever in his fitted suit. Her heart swelled with love. "More than ever," she whispered. Henry held out his hand. "Then let's do this together." She took his hand, and together they walked down the aisle, ready to start their new life. As they exchanged vows, Bella's eyes shimmered with tears, not of sadness, but of joy. She had finally found her home, and it was in Henry's arms.